Thank you.
Okay, we're recording. So don't say anything bad about Sarah particularly, okay? Okay, again, the four things we'll cover are the basic overview settings and configuration, managing users, administrator document management, being able to look at all the documents in a specific group, and then being able to export data into spreadsheets here. So our first point here is the settings and configuration. So I'm going to go back to your organization here. So we're down here at West Central District Health Department. And from the main menu, which is this gray one up here in the top right, there's a settings button down here. And again, only org admins can see this. So we'll click on that. There's some basic settings. Some of these, by the way, only I can adjust, but we'll kind of go through those. Your account expiration date just tells you 9/20/25. You're good through. Top level group. Typically, it's a department. Sometimes you'll have multiple departments underneath an organization, and you might want to change that. So you can do that if you want to. All of these graphics can be updated if you want to. Most people don't. But for instance, if you wanted to put your report header in there, you can click on the report header that's in there, right click on it and say clear. And then you go back and say insert into container, and you'll pick a new graphic, and pretty much any kind of graphic, JPEGs, GIFs, or PNG or whatever will work fine. Just note the 800 pixels wide here. It'll kind of adapt, but it looks a lot better if everything is at the right pixel scale here. And then your logo, same thing down here. It's 100 pixels wide, but same thing. You can click on it, clear, and then insert into container. Most people don't ever mess with the check marks and things like that. You could change them if you wanted to, but not a lot of sense in doing that. Admin activate partner. So anybody in your organization can add partners into the system, and that's just through the main menu. There's a partners link, and then you just go in and add partner organizations and the contacts within that organization. What this does is says that only you guys, the administrators, can activate the partners. So once you add a partner, there's a button down there that says activate. Again, only you guys can do that. And the reason for that is because if you got a lot of people entering partners, you could end up with duplicate partners in there. It came about here actually in Arizona. We have ADHS, Arizona Department of Health Services. Their website is AZDHS. And at one point in time, somebody put in distinct partners for both different groups in there, not realizing that one was already in there. So you end up with duplicate partners, and it causes problems. So anybody who enters a partner in there, they'll have to come to you and say, can you please activate this partner? Your take would be to kind of look through all the partners, just make sure there's no duplicates, and then hit the activate button on there. Inactivity timeout is generally set for 60 minutes. It just says if you're not doing anything in the system for 60 minutes, it's going to log you out. You'll have to log back in again. The default plan level is just basically the pyramid. So services, goal, objectives, and activities. Most people are at the objective level. So when you generate a report, the first thing you'll see is the objective level. And then you have up the top right, if you recall, you've got a little button up there. You could say activities or move it up to goals. But objectives is kind of where most of the reports are generated because the objectives are the target that you're trying to accomplish. And then this guy down here is something I set only. Enable document management. I think you might have access to that setting. Basically what it says is, can this person actually upload documents into the system here? And I don't think I've ever turned anybody off on that particular one. The next thing you'll see is notifications. Now you guys have the email notifications turned off right now. So if I go down here, if I say I want to turn them on, now it's going to give me a bunch of choices here. So first of all, how often do I want them to go out? So I could say week 1 of the month, week 2, week 3, week 4, or I could say weeks 1 and 3, meaning 2 times a month, weeks 2 and 4. I could say every week, so every week, obviously. I could say the last day of the month, so, February 28th, March 31st, whatever, or a specific day of the month. So maybe you want the 15th of the month to be that day in there. So you're going to pick, let's say we pick week 1. So week 1 of the month. Then down here, you can have multiple choices if you want to. So you might say, I want Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of week 1 of the month. Wouldn't make a lot of sense, but you could do that. Typically, it's going to be a single selection here. So in this case, we're saying Wednesday on the first week of the month, the emails are going to go out. And there's 3 things that trigger the emails going out. Number 1 is if this person has not updated their information in the last 30 days, they'll get an email. And I can turn that on and off too. If I don't care about 30-day limits, which some people don't, you can just go ahead and turn that off. Behind schedule just indicates that the activity is calculated to be behind schedule. So beginning date, ending date, percent complete, the calculation says, hey, you're behind schedule. Overdue just says that this person has an activity that the ending date was before today and it's not yet 100% complete. And you can, again, you can select any of these you want. The only one I ever see people turn off really is this 30 days because, maybe things only get updated every couple of months or every quarter. So, why have to force them to go in to do that here? Now, when this is on right now, it's going to go through tonight and it's going to do the email notifications. If I turn it off, it's off. So it will not generate an email notification. So it's real time, is what I'm telling you here. So when you guys decide when you want those emails to go out, you can set it here. And again, you can flip it around. So if I decided I wanted it on week 1 on Wednesday and then decided, I really think Tuesday is a better day, I go in and do that the next time it goes out. In fact, if it's set up for that day, it's going to go out on a Tuesday instead of a Wednesday. So I'll go ahead and leave these off and you guys can go back in and decide when you want those. Partner types is something we don't really use much anymore. Synonyms. The pyramid. So the organization, group, service, initiative, goal, objective, and activity. So that's the levels of the pyramid. Is all this does is some people have a specific nomenclature that they like. So for instance, organization might be department. So if I go in here and say department for organization, anytime on a report you see the word organization, it'll be replaced with department. So it's the synonym, if you will, for that. And it's global across your whole organization. So if you make these changes, everybody who generates a report is going to have these changes in there. So a lot of times if you have a report, maybe you got something that, change that back. Maybe you have something that the state requires in a certain nomenclature. What you can do is go in and change it as you need it, generate your reports, come back and change it back so anybody else doesn't have to have your nomenclature in there. So that's all you're doing is just saying, when I see group on the report, it's going to say, whatever, division or something along that line. So these affect the reports and they affect VMSG public. So when you generate a public facing web page, on the left side, it says group is or initiative is, you're going to be able to change that name nomenclature to whatever you want in there. And that's really all it does here. So those are the basic settings that you guys have access to. And again, you can change them in real time and everything is pretty much real time in there. So that was the first thing. The next thing I want to talk about is user management. This is the key thing that you'll be working on here. So let's go into there. Basically off the main menu again, you got the users menu item here. So it's a list of all the users down here. First thing you're going to be looking at is, and you'll see this occasionally, when a user is entered into the system, if they're a user, a normal user or a manager user, they're going to have full access to their home group. In this case, there's no home group set, so we'll set that here in a minute here. Everybody should have a home group in there. It makes it a lot easier for reporting and things like that. So let me see who else. Yeah, okay, so this one is department-wide. So what you're going to see in here is all the information about that user. But again, a normal user, when I show the group links, so which groups can they affect? You'll notice the view is checked on everything over here, meaning exactly that. The person can view everything. But at this point in time, they can only edit things in the department or in the training group or the tobacco group under the training group. But they could not edit anything in the strategic plan, CHA, emergency ops, QI, any of that stuff. So what you'll do is if you wanted to have this person have access to edit things in the strategic plan, you can click that, hit the save button, and now they have access to that. And this is a big one that we see because people will come in and say, hey, I'm trying to update the strategic plan, the QI plan, whatever it happens to be, and it's giving me an error message saying you don't have permissions to do that. This is where they come from, is the group links in here. Let me go back for now and just set that back. And you can, by the way, you can give people, edit to everything if you want to in here. Generally, you want them to have anything that they'll be personally working on, you want them to have access to. Other than that, they don't necessarily need to have it in there. Now, if the person is an org admin user, they have full access. So you guys all have full edit access for everything in there. Now let's talk about the fields down here. So um, first of all, this person, Shreya, what group would they belong to? So Zen
So
Consulting.
so she would go to us. She's a consultant. We have her as a contract with her, helping us with our like I don't know the best way to put it, kind of with our quality improvement,
Okay.
maybe not necessarily quality improvement, but with our team building and structuring. So she's going to be really helping us with doing 3 month evaluations, quarterly evaluations, and things of our different programs, specifically the goal setting piece.
Yeah.
So we felt like it would be really important for her to have access to this because
So
she'll be working closely with our team as they're setting their goals.
yeah. So for now, we'll give her default access to the QI group, and then you can go in again. We can go in and say, what else does she have access? Well, in this case, I don't know why that happened, but because she didn't have a group set, probably. Let's go ahead and give her read access to everything, and then we'll give her edit access to QI. What other groups or plans would she have edit access to?
So she'll be, and maybe the view only is what she'd need now because really what we want to do is have our team build each of their specific programs into the system, and she would help them through that process. But
Okay.
um,
Well, we'll just
it would
leave
be
it as
more
is, and if she
outreach
needs
about
edit
the
access
program.
to anything, you can go in and change it that easily.
Okay.
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 Okay. So let's talk about the user. So the user name is typically first name dot last name. It's got to be unique amongst all of the users in the dashboard, which is about 6,400 users. So typically, we find if you do first name dot last name, it's unique. If not, you might put like a 01 after it or something. The system will tell you that. And then you're going to put in the first name, last name. Should I just put in consultant here for a title? I got her email in there. Don't have a phone number, but it's not required to have a phone number, but you can put that in there. We got her set to QI group, user permissions, and reporting to Megan. So I'll go ahead and save that. Okay, now when you're going to add a new user, the easiest way to do it is let's say if I was going to add somebody to Megan here, I'm going to go down and select Megan, and then I'm going to hit the plus button here, and that's going to clear out all these fields except the reports to field down here. It'll say Megan down here as the reports to, and then I'm going to put in username, first and last name, title, email address, phone number. This will be only one entry in there, your department, and then we're going to have what group level does this person belong to. What happens is when a person logs in, they go to their default group by default. They can switch groups and look at other things, but by default, they go to their group. So, if I'm the department level, I'm probably going to want to go to the department level to do reports and things. You've got the reports to. This will have, in this case, the way we talked about, it'll have Megan in there as the reports to, but I can also change it. So if I accidentally, had somebody else clicked on here and I put it in there and, they don't report to Jennifer, they report to Megan, I can just switch it there. And let's talk a little bit about the different types of users here. So the most common is the normal user, we call it. It's the most users we have in the system. Access to all planning functions. So you can add. Actually, you can only add from the service, or you can add services, goals, objectives, and activities. You can't add groups in there, and you can't delete higher level planning elements. So a normal user can only delete objectives on down. Because if you delete an objective, you're also going to delete all the activities within that objective. So what we're trying to do is limit the damage potential in there. So they can only delete the objective and its related activities, which is going to be a small chunk, if you will. They cannot add groups. Only org admins can add groups. Limited by the view, edit, group links, the ones we were just talking about. If you have hidden services, you may remember on the services screen, the bottom right corner, there's a hide service button down there. If you hide that, they cannot see those. So it's kind of takes them out of their view. And then they can access most of the reports. So this is your normal. The next level up would be your manager users. Manager user, we call them type 5 users, access to all planning functions. They can delete higher level planning elements up to the service initiative on down. They cannot delete groups. Limited again by the view edit links. They can see hidden services. So anything that's hidden is grayed out at the service level. They can see it. They can activate partners, just like we talked about. The org admins can activate partners. So can managers, and then access to most reports. Your type org admins here, you got access to all system functions. So there's nothing in the system you cannot do. Nothing should block you, unless again that view edit checkbox is still pertinent in there. You can add, edit, and delete groups. You can manage users, like we're talking about, manage categories and subcategories. So I think did we go through the 3-dimensional planning?
Yes, I believe
Okay.
so.
Yeah, so we're talking about the categories and subcategories for 3-dimensional planning. This is where the org admins come in. They can see hidden services, they can activate partners, and they have access to everything in the system. There's a couple other users that aren't used a lot, but the read-only user is exactly that. They can see everything that you've got checked over there as a view on the groups link button here. They can see everything. They just can't edit anything in the system. Even if you select them as an edit for that particular group, they still can't edit it. And this is again for basically for people who run reports. So maybe you have an executive assistant or somebody who runs reports for the health director, and is all they need to do is go in and run a report. So they can run all the reports. They just can't go in and change anything in the system. Partner users are exactly that for external folks typically, although some people do use them for internal folks as well. Again, you're going to have access to the selected groups. Again, that group links button here. They can't edit a planning element, meaning they can't change an organ. They can't change an objective. They can't change an activity. They can go in and update the status. So they can update the traffic light. They can update the data value. They can update the notes, and that's all they can update in there. So if you got people that you know are a little maybe concerned that they would go in and change things accidentally, you could assign them as a partner user, and then the only thing they can do is update the status on the planning elements in there. So that's the different user types in there. There's another thing that I wanted to show you down here, and that is on the emails that will go out once you turn these on, you're going to have down at the bottom, if you have any questions, contact this person. And let's go back to here. So, okay, so Jill is an org admin user, and this magic button called admin link shows up. When I click on this, it's going to give me these out. So right now, Jill is not assigned to show up on that email to anybody. So what you're going to want to do, and you can divide it up or you can give everybody access to that, is all it does is on this email, it's going to have however many org admins you show up will be down here in this column, name, email address, and phone number in there. So that's how you determine what shows up on this particular email notification. It's right on here. So it's kind of like the group links button, except you're selecting the admin links here. And let's see here. So that's pretty much everything there is about users in there. I'm going to talk a little bit about document management, and I'm going to talk a little bit about exporting. But any questions on what we've got so far?
None here.
Okay, let's move on. Administrator document management. Really, it's very simple. I'm going to go and say, I'm going to select my department group, and then I'm going to go down to the main menu and go down and select document management. And again, I believe that only org admins have access to this. And I'll clear that. So what I'm looking at now is all of the documents that have been put in the system. I can filter them by group. So this is probably, well, your strategic plan is a document that I attached apparently in there. SOP1 was one of the test documents that we created in there. I can filter by group. So I can use a drop down here and I could say, I just want to see things that are in the training group. Maybe that's, let's see if that's where it is here. No, okay, wherever. Anyhow, this little X clears that filter and just shows you all the documents. So again, where this gets used a lot is if you're using the accreditation or reaccreditation plan and you want to attach all the documents to the measures, which is the objectives in the plan, and then you want to go back and just look at all the documents. When you do that, typically you're going to have, a traffic light for the document. Again, yellow typically indicates it's a draft, and you can have as many versions of the draft as you want. A green would indicate that we as the department have completed it. And then once you submit it up into the EFAB system, you can mark it as gold. So what you're looking at down here, let's say you had 100 documents down here, it's going to show you the latest version. So if it's gold, you know that you're done with it. If there's a green in there, that means you finished it and have not yet submitted it up into the EFAB system.
So,
Now,
Fred,
yes.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I want to make sure that I'm following along. So I have it pulled up, but under my document management tab, I'm not showing what you have on yours.
Okay, go up to the top middle here. Is there a group selected in there?
The group is department.
Okay, so hit the little black X next to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so what it
I
was
missed
saying is
that part.
there's
Okay.
no documents in the department group.
Gotcha. Okay. I took it as, and I think you just said that, and it went right over my head. I took that as it's in the department as a whole. So, okay. Thank you. I'm on the same page now.
Okay, good. Okay, so once you have all these documents, you can search, and it'll search any of the fields in a document. So, just like any other search, you got the little button here. You can show status. So I just want to see gold documents, or I just want to see, in this case, for the accreditation thing, looking at green documents is kind of a good one because that means, again, we've completed it and have not yet submitted it. And then the type here is where are the documents attached. So you got, documents can be attached anywhere, as you can see in here. To get to the plan element that the document's attached to, you got the planning element field down here, and it's clickable. So if I go to there, it's going to take me to SOP1 that was attached to the Tobacco 2024 training group down there. And now I've got the actual document that I can work with in here. You can't actually change the documents from that document management screen. Oops. I cleared that out. Yeah, you can't change the documents from here. You can't upload new documents or anything like that. It's all you can do is save the text down here and then link to the actual document because you don't want to change it in multiple places in here. So you link to the actual document, make the changes. It'll appear on here as well. So that is administrator document management. Any other questions on that? Again, that's typically, it's kind of a tool that you use to determine what documents you have and what the status is on them, but it's not really used for other things other than that.
I have a quick question. When you're in like so when we went into the SOP1, are you able to get back to the documents and like the document management, like to this screen? So like, let's see.
If I click on here,
Makes sense. Yeah. So if you're in there, how do you get back to the document management?
you should be able to go here, but it's no. What that does is take me to the activity that the document was attached to. So in order to get back to there, you're going to have to go back up to here and hit document management.
So back that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What happens is this SOP is attached to that particular activity. And what I'm trying to do is get to the activity itself. So that's what the back arrow takes you to. So a little bit confusing. Okay. I apologize for that. But
no, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't like missing something.
Yeah, it took me a second when I looked at it and said, where we go? And then it says the activity screen. So. Okay, one more thing we're going to cover, and that is data export. A couple different things you can export in here. First of all, you can export any plan in the system. So if I wanted to go back to my groups here and so you guys have your strategic plan in there, I can export from the entire group level. So I can say, let's export the entire strategic plan. Or I can go down and say, I just want to export board engagement. Let's see if we have plan elements. Yeah, we have plan elements. So I'm going to say board engagement. So I'm going to select that, go to the main menu here, and then go down to export, just like it says. Click on that. Do you like to export the operational plan data? Yes. No plans were found for the selected service. Initiative goal. Let me see if there's anything underneath that. Oh, okay. That's why there's no objectives underneath it here. Okay, let's go back to the group then. And we'll use the strategic plan. Go up here, export. Groups to the selected group. Subgroups, I'll say no. There we go. This looks like gobbledygook. This is what we call CSV, comma separated value. What you'll do, this button exports that to a .csv file. If you put it on your desktop or anywhere you want, double click on it, it's going to open up in whatever spreadsheet you use. If you use Excel, it'll open up in Excel. And basically what it is all of the data in that plan all the way down with all the status and traffic lights and the whole 9 yards in there. So, it's not used very often, but if you just did want to export a plan and play with it and make some changes or make some particular graphs and things like that, you can do it. In addition, so that's exporting an entire plan. Pardon me. So let's go down to your strategic plan and see what we have down here. Okay, so let's say I just wanted to export. Remember the chart here? I don't know if this has any data. No, not really in here. But if I wanted, if this was a chart up here and I want to export it, this little button right here does exactly that. It'll export the performance history chart, or you can get exactly the same information from the history chart here. So these records here, and if I go to export those, it's going to ask me to save this file. And I'll just save it to my desktop here. Export. And it should open up here in Excel. Slowly open up in Excel. Okay, so let me bring it over here. Here it is. Okay, so here's the Excel file that got created. So it has the planning element type, objective, the ID, all the information. There's a whole bunch of data points and things like that out there. So basically, you're exporting the history file in this particular case from the objective that we had looked at. So you can do any of those, but don't save. Okay, so that's the two things that you export. You can export, again, from the chart button here or from the history. You get exactly the same data. The chart button is derived from the history record, so that's why it's the same data. Or I can go select any level of any plan and export. So if I just want to export a specific objective, I can do that, the objective and its activities. If I want to go back up to the goal level, I can do that. And again, not used very often, but it's available if you want to be able to put data into a different format or someplace else. And that was all I had to share today. You guys now have superpowers.
Thank you.
Use them wisely. Now, just as an FYI, and this is a caution, you guys can delete anything in the system. So, I mean, you could take your entire strategic plan, click on it, delete it, and it's gone. Now, like I say, if that happens, come to me. I'll help you to get it back. What I have to do is go into a backup file from the previous day and bring in that data, and it basically has to be re-entered into the system. So we can recover it. We have backups every day forever, but just be cautious as you're in there. Any other questions? Anything else you'd like to see?
I have just like a general question about using this, using the dashboard. So we're trying to figure out like, the best, basically everything, like what should we put into the system. So we've got like the basics of fab and that sort of thing, but anything that like we're tracking, we want to make sure that we're utilizing this the best way that we can, and that we have everything that we need to have in here and not like have something floating around in another web space somewhere when it could be better put into here.
Yeah, anything that you can plan and execute is what you want to have in the system, because that's what it's all
Okay.
about. Planning. Now, there is one thing that has been extremely popular, and let me take you to the USA Public Health demo group and show it to you here. And that is the critical documents feature that we've added. It was at the request of one of our health departments here. Groups, and down here, critical documents. So, you got standard operating procedures, you got memos of understanding, you've got grant documents, you got FAB documents, you got policies. All those documents have to be updated on a regular basis. This allows the system to guide you to do that. So if I break down here to start with, we have 4 different groups, and you can have as many as you want: policies, SOPs, MOUs, grant documents. You could have FAB documents, you could have whatever you want down here. And then you're breaking it down in the pyramid here. Underneath that, we have a goal that says manage and update all departmental administrative policies. Manage and update departmental healthcare policies. So you got different types of policies in here. As we go down there, we have update the department administrative policies each fiscal year. And then down at the activity level, we have this new type of activity. It's a QA activity. When I show you this, it's got this little timeline checkbox. What that does is say our start date is the beginning of the fiscal year. The percent to yellow says, when is this traffic light going to turn yellow through the fiscal year? In this case, 90%, which would be about mid-May of the next year. That light's going to turn yellow. When that light turns yellow, then Andrea is going to get that email notification to go in. It's going to link her right back into this activity. She's going to be able to click on document management. You can see it's got 2 versions already in here. So she's going to be able to click on document management, grab the policy, download it, do the updates for the next fiscal year, upload the new version of the policy, save it. She's going to go back to here. She's going to save the activity. The activity will come up and say, do you want to advance the date to the next fiscal year? Basically, you'll say yes, and then it turns green again, and away you go. So this is just a feature that people just love, because everybody's got all kinds of policies and documents to manage.
Mm-hmm.
So all this does basically is said, Andrea, you're going to be updating this policy every fiscal year, and the system is going to guide you to do that. And by the way, if she doesn't get it done by the end of the year, the 100% mark, it turns red. Everybody gets notified that the policy is not updated. So that's one thing you can use it for, and a lot of people really seem to like that. So.
Yeah. So my next question is, how do we make sure that's on our dashboard?
Is all you got to do is add the group.
Okay,
So
perfect.
here, and I would put it under the department level, and then
Okay.
add a group. And I use critical documents. And then
Okay.
under critical documents, you start breaking it down. What type of documents do we have? Break it down there.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
You're certainly welcome. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, I thank you so much for your time today. If you get into any of this kind of stuff and you have any troubles, especially with users and that kind of stuff, it gets kind of complex. Feel free to just reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, everybody, you guys have a wonderful week.
You too.
You too.